Meets the sky, a tale of strength and charisma, reaching far and high. Harold Washington, a beacon in the night, a leader, a visionary, a city's guiding light.
I think your mayor is a wonderful fellow, but I depart radically from him when he says that he would hope that I would have all the good qualities of past mayors. There are no good qualities of past mayors to be had. None, 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 none. I did not mourn at the bar of the late mayor. I regret anyone dying. I have no regrets about him leaving. He was a racist from the core, head to toe and hip to hip. There's no danger of doubt about it. And he spewed and fawned and oppressed black people to the point that some of them thought that was the way they were supposed to live. Just like some slaves on the plantation thought that was the way they were supposed to live. I give no hosannas to a racist, nor do I appreciate or respect his son. If his name were anything other than Daly, his campaign would be a joke.
Well, my name is Bernard Teet. I'm a deacon here at Third Baptist Church. I've been here since I joined here in 4th Sunday of August 1996. James Boyd come to a big snowstorm, I believe was. That's when Harold Washington come on the scene then. We had a big snowstorm. And she had said that around the schools and stuff, certain places snow was moved, and she didn't know what she was talking about. They hadn't even been touched. And they did everything to try to discredit him for running for mayor. And but he still succeeded. One of the things I think they thought was mostly what Harold Washington was, they thought Jesse Jackson was going to run the city if Harold Washington got in there. But Harold Washington was his own man.
I mean, I remember playing a gig when Harold Washington was running for mayor. And I was in the middle of my solo, and I felt somebody tugging me in the back and told me stop playing. I said, why? Because the mayoral candidate is here and he wants to speak.
I have never seen a man command the English language like Harold Washington. Harold Washington baffled the whole city. When you hear white people who say, hold it just a minute, all of these big words that he uses, and he uses them correctly. He is a politician's politician.
Our mission is to maintain a city that is peaceful and tranquil. We have no anger. We have no vindictiveness. Rancor doesn't spew from us. We're about the business of building a city for everybody, wherever you live.
Harold Washington was really just coming into his own. He had been re-elected to a second term, had achieved a level of parity with the city council. Things were finally going his way.
One. Oh, two. We know what to do. There we go.
After this groundbreaking with Alderman Timothy Evans, early on the day before Thanksgiving, 1987, Mayor Washington headed back to City Hall.
He slumped to one side. I thought he was trying to pick something up off the floor, like a pen that he might have dropped. And I quickly realized that it was more serious than that.
Peter, what can you tell us?
I just got off the phone with some people.
high-ranking sources from the fire department. They told me that an announcement is being prepared within the next half hour.
We could not get any signs of neurologic recovery nor spontaneous cardiac activity.
Word has just come that the mayor has passed.
Right. He was, you know, I got a chance to meet him twice. Like anybody else, you know, you walk up, shake hands, how you doing, Mr. Mayor? And the smile that we all saw on television was amplified when you saw it in person.
And the sorrow. I mean, there again, more than a family member. Again, the hurting, the longing for wondering what might have been or what could have been.
He opened the doors for Midway Airport. And a lot of the concession stands, Black said, a few of those. And so he just opened the door for us. I just felt a loss. To this day, I still feel a loss about losing our leaders. I think maybe just wonder what life would have been like if they could have lived.
In the city of big shoulders where dreams take flight, Harold stood tall in justice and in might. His voice echoed through the streets so wide, a legacy woven in history's tide.
Then my living shall not be in vain.
You didn't have time to grieve.
Oh, no, the thing is I didn't have time to grieve, but I was working and crying at the same time.
Jackie Grimshaw was a Washington aide and architect of his campaign.
It was grieving, but it was also with a sense of purpose, that this was Harold, that we had to plan a funeral that was praiseworthy of Harold. But Phil, at the same time we were doing this, we had this little cabal of aldermen that were plotting who was going to be the mayor.
Those who yearned to be mayor included a number of aldermen: Eugene Sawyer, Timothy Evans, Danny Davis, Richard Mell, and Lawrence Bloom.
I don't feel any pressure to move swiftly. I think that people understand that this is a troubled time for his family.
I thought that at the very least, we would have time to bury Harold and mourn his passing and give him the kind of respect that he had earned.
We were over to Vidoniak's house. Sawyer, all of they were over there. I wasn't there at that time, but some of the policemen, some of your aldermen, they were over there, and they were discussing who was going to be this after Harold had died. Who's going to be the mayor?
You know that term, smoke-filled rooms?
The meeting was an apparent violation of the Open Meetings Act, since reporters were not allowed in.
I don't think that the people of Chicago should have their next mayor picked at O'Hare Field.
That same day here at Operation Push, members of the Washington faction attempted a show of unity.
And we must hang together, or we'll hang separately.
But it was clear at that meeting that Tim Evans was emerging as a clear favorite of the Washington faithful.
I will never forget him, and no death can separate us from his triumph.
That week for me was so painful that I was not doing political calculations. I was not doing political strategy. I was trying to say goodbye.
And perhaps the most sincere form of remembrance, the hundreds of thousands of Chicagoans who began to pay their respects to the late mayor as his body lay in the rotunda of City Hall. The river of humanity at times stretched 4 or 5 blocks. The river of tears seemed to never stop.
At first, I thought maybe Tim Evans might have been a good man, because I had met Tim Evans personally, you know, because he comes to Masonic Temple. But then Sawyer was in there too. Eugene Sawyer was one of Washington's right-hand men too. So they didn't want Evans in there because Evans the one that pushed for that election. Evans the one that pushed for the election, and they had their guns cocked because they know if they get Eugene Sawyer, they could out-talk him.
I felt he would probably be better suited to continue Harold's program, his legacy. That's my personal opinion.
Harold Washington left City Hall for the last time early on the morning of November 30th, but only after hundreds of thousands of people had stood in line for endless hours.
Thank you very much. I'll see you in the morning, buddy. We will not let you down.
The funeral procession left Christ Universal Temple for Oak Woods Cemetery. But along the way, thousands of people lined the roads for one last wave.
The crowd which turned out for Tim Evans that night was astounding. Thousands hoping to carry him across the finish line as Washington's certain successor. But of course, the public didn't vote. The city council did. Remnants of the old Verdoliak faction realized they didn't have the votes to install one of their bloc as mayor.
And so they decided then that we better fall back and choose one of our own among the black aldermen, and they settled on Gene Sawyer.
Later that night, those aldermen met here, just outside the council chamber in room 201A. I was standing right here when that door burst open. Sawyer was escorted to the chamber, assured that he now had the votes.
They saw themselves being in charge and having a puppet sitting in the mayor's office.
What is the community going to think if you become mayor by getting the votes of the people who 6 days ago were against Harold?
But I knew when they appointed him how nervous and it was just something to see. This man was out of his wits, and they forced this on him, and he was not prepared to handle it.
But that was but see, in the meanwhile, they want him there. They wanted him there, so that's like to get the guns loaded. Every time they give this last daily time to get his ready, so they didn't know that was a shoe-in because Eugene couldn't. He wasn't, like I say, I was surprised him couldn't perform in politics no better than he could then, as long as he'd been in politics.
All that my dad wanted to do was serve out Harold's term. That's it. He felt that he could step up to the challenge and do the job. He did not want to anger the black community and make it seem like there was something going on that really wasn't.
As it turned out, his concerns in that regard may have been well-founded. Sawyer was accused by many in the black community as having sold out.
He was not going to fight back. He was going to go along with the crowd.
Roderick Sawyer insists that wasn't true.
My dad was able to rally both parties, both sides, to come to some conclusions because, quite honestly, they liked him.
Whatever the case, it was a crazy night, and the meeting went on for hours.
I'm not tired. I'm older than most of you.
But finally, at 4 a.m., the die was cast. Eugene Sawyer was Chicago's new mayor.
I promised you that I will continue the programs and policies of our late mayor.
But Sawyer would serve for only 15 months, defeated in the Democratic primary by Richard Daley, who served for the next 22 years. To this day, there is disagreement over that fateful night.
From the neighborhoods to the halls of power, he walked with purpose every single hour. In the faces of challenges, he remained strong, a testament to resilience against all wrong.
Whoever decided to, I was just an observer. Whoever decided to make that step, it did make me watch them and try to understand, where they were coming from a whole lot more. Harold did that, and Dr. King did that for me, to become more involved with what was going on in the city and the country.
Because between Verdoliak and Ed Burke and Mel and all of the other guys, they didn't want him to succeed, and they did everything they could. But he still smiled, and he still went after it. He was the mayor for all people, not just black people. And that's the one thing I must say about him. Everybody loved him if they allowed themselves to.
So let the words of this poem be the guide, a tribute to Harold with deep respect and pride. As we journey through history, let us impart the spirit of a leader, a beating heart.